I'm Maya Thompson, and I need to tell you what my family did to me last Christmas. What happened changed everything I thought I knew about love, loyalty, and blood. By the time you finish reading this, you'll understand why I did what I did. And trust me, they deserved every single word I mailed them. Let me start from the beginning, from the moment I first realized something was wrong. I sat in the hospital break room scrolling through my phone, watching the family group chat like I did every December. For 15 years, the pattern had been the same. Someone would post Christmas planning time, and we'd all jump in with ideas. My sister Vanessa usually started the gift exchange list. My brother Derek would joke about bringing his terrible casserole, and I'd volunteer to make Mom's famous apple pie, the one she taught only me to bake before she died 3 years ago. But this year, the chat was quiet. Too quiet. I typed, "Should I bring the pie again this year? And does anyone need help with decorations?" The message sat there for 2 days. I could see everyone had read it. The little check marks were blue, but nobody replied. Not even a thumbs up emoji. I told myself they were busy. Vanessa had her kids. Derek had his new job. My older brother Marcus was probably traveling for work. They'd respond soon. Then on December 20th, I saw something that made my stomach drop. Vanessa posted a photo in the chat, a table covered in wrapping paper, ribbons, and name tags. The caption read, "Christmas prep officially begins." I zoomed in on the photo. I counted the name tags. 7. One for Vanessa, her husband Troy, their 2 kids. One for Derek. One for Marcus and his girlfriend Simone. 7 tags. I wasn't on a single one. I stared at that photo until my coffee went cold. My hands started shaking, so I put the phone down and took a deep breath. There had to be an explanation. Maybe Vanessa hadn't made my tag yet. Maybe she was surprising me with something special. Maybe I was overreacting. But then I noticed something else. The group chat name had changed. It used to be Thompson Family. Now it said Christmas Crew. I scrolled up through the messages I'd missed while working my double shift. They'd been planning for weeks. Vanessa asked who wanted to sleep over at the house on Christmas Eve. Derek volunteered to bring wine. Marcus said Simone was excited for her first Thompson family Christmas. Not one message mentioned me. Not one person asked if I was coming. It was like I'd become invisible. I clicked on the group info to check the members. My heart sank further. There were 7 people in the chat. Last month there had been 8. I opened my contacts and checked the old screenshots I'd saved from previous years. There it was. My name used to be on the list. They'd removed me. They hadn't forgotten to include me in plans. They'd deliberately taken me out of the group. Out of Christmas. Out of the family. Christmas Eve arrived with heavy snow and that sharp cold that makes your lungs hurt. I worked the overnight shift at the hospital because nobody else wanted it. The emergency room. Filled with people. Ski accidents, heart attacks, a kid who swallowed a toy. I moved through my tasks on autopilot, checking vitals, changing IVs, holding the hand of an elderly woman who was scared and alone. "Do you have family coming tomorrow?" she asked me during her admission. I smiled the way nurses learn to smile. "Sure do." It was easier than explaining the truth. Around 11, I took my break in the staff parking lot. The snow had stopped, and the sky was clear and full of stars. I sat in my car with the heater running, scrolling through social media. That's when I saw it. Vanessa had posted a photo on her public page. My entire family stood in front of Mom's old house. The one we'd inherited together. The one I'd been paying property taxes on alone for 3 years. They wore matching red sweaters. The porch was decorated with the same lights I'd bought last year and stored in the garage. Mom's wreath hung on the door, the one I'd carefully preserved and wrapped in tissue paper. The caption read, "Nothing better than family tradition. So grateful everyone could make it this year." Everyone. I read that word 10 times. Everyone meant them. Everyone didn't include me. I zoomed in on every face in that photo. Vanessa was laughing, holding her daughter close. Derek had his arm around Marcus. Simone looked comfortable and happy, like she belonged. Troy was wearing the ugly Christmas sweater I'd given him 2 years ago. They were inside Mom's house. Our house. Using our decorations. Celebrating our traditions. And I was sitting in a hospital parking lot eating vending machine crackers, because I'd forgotten to pack dinner. I looked closer at the background of the photo. The dining table was set with Mom's good china, the set she'd told me to keep safe. The centerpiece was made of pine branches and red berries, exactly the way I'd arranged it last Christmas. Even the tree looked familiar. The same ornaments I'd collected over the years, including the little nurse's cap I'd bought to represent myself on the family tree. My niece, Vanessa's oldest, had commented on the post, "Best Christmas ever. I love when everyone comes together." 43 people had liked it. Friends from church, old neighbors, Mom's former co-workers. Everyone could see this picture. Everyone could see my family celebrating without me. And nobody had thought to ask where I was. I sat there until my shift supervisor knocked on my window asking if I was okay. I drove home at 7 in the morning. The streets were empty except for a few families loading cars with presents. I passed houses with lights still on. Could smell coffee and cinnamon through cracked windows. Somewhere, people were laughing. Somewhere, people were wanted. My apartment was dark and cold. I turned on the heat and stood in the kitchen, not sure what to do with myself. I'd bought a small pie from the grocery store bakery. It felt wrong not to have pie on Christmas, even if I was alone. I heated a slice in the microwave and sat at my tiny table with a cup of tea. The clock on the wall ticked toward midnight. I thought about calling someone, but who? All my close friends had families of their own. The few co-workers I was friendly with were busy with their own celebrations. I'd become so focused on taking care of everyone else that I'd forgotten to build anything just for me. "Merry Christmas, Mom," I whispered to the empty room. I pulled up that family photo one more time. I studied each face, looking for any sign that someone had thought of me, any hint of guilt or sadness. But there was nothing. They looked complete without me. Happy, like I'd never been part of the picture at all. I deleted the family group chat from my phone. It wasn't much, but it was something. My finger hovered over Vanessa's number. I wanted to call. I wanted to scream. I wanted to ask why. But I didn't. Instead, I printed that family photo and taped it to my refrigerator. Every time I looked at it, I'd remember exactly what love shouldn't feel like. The day after Christmas, I woke up to someone knocking on my door. It was Mr. Harlan, my neighbor from 2 doors down. He was a retired mailman, probably in his 70s, who always had a kind word and sometimes left cookies on my doorstep when he baked too many. "Maya, honey, you all right?" he asked when I opened the door. "Saw your car been parked in the same spot since yesterday morning. Wanted to make sure you didn't slip on ice or something." I almost said I was fine. Almost gave him the same smile I gave everyone. But something about his concerned eyes and the way he was holding a plate of gingerbread made my throat tighten. "I'm okay, Mr. Harlan. Just a quiet Christmas." He studied my face the way old people do when they know you're lying. "You know, Maya, I delivered mail for 40 years. Saw a lot of families. And I learned something important." He paused and I waited. People who forget you once will do it again. And usually they've been practicing for a while before you notice. Those words hit me harder than I expected. I thanked him for the cookies and closed the door, but his sentence followed me around all day. Had they been practicing? Had there been other times they'd excluded me and I just hadn't noticed? I spent the rest of the day cleaning, trying to stay busy. While organizing my desk drawer, I found an envelope I'd never opened. The handwriting on the front made me freeze. It was Mom's. My hands shook as I opened the envelope. Inside was a single piece of paper, dated 2 weeks before Mom died. Her handwriting was shaky but clear. "My dearest Maya, if you're reading this, I'm gone. I want you to know how proud I am of you. You have the biggest heart of all my children. But sometimes I worry you give too much of yourself away. Remember, sweetheart, you deserve the same care you give to everyone else. Don't let people mistake your kindness for weakness. Don't let love make you disappear. All my love forever, Mom." I read it 5 times. Each time, the words felt heavier. Mom had seen it. Even before she died, she'd seen how I bent and stretched and sacrificed while my siblings took and took. She tried to warn me. I pressed the letter to my chest and cried for the first time since Christmas Eve. Not angry tears. Sad ones. Tired ones. The kind that come when you finally admit something you've been avoiding. I'd been disappearing for years. And I'd let it happen. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about Mom's house, the property taxes I'd been paying alone since she died. Every year, I'd asked my siblings to split the cost. Every year, they'd promised to send money soon. But soon never came. I'd covered it all, almost $9,000 over 3 years. I got up and pulled out the file box where I kept important papers. Inside were the property documents, the tax receipts, the utility bills I'd paid to keep the house from being condemned. And there underneath everything was something that made my blood run cold. The deed to the house. But something was wrong with it. I spread the documents across my kitchen table under the bright overhead light. The original deed was in all 4 of our names. Me, Vanessa, Derek, and Marcus. Equal shares just like Mom wanted. But there was a second document, dated 8 months ago. A quit-claim deed transferring my share of the property to Derek. I stared at the signature line. It looked like my signature. The loops and curves were similar. But I'd never signed this paper. I'd never even seen it before. I grabbed my phone and called Bethany, a friend from the hospital who used to work in medical records before becoming a nurse. She'd studied document fraud as part of her previous job. Beth, I need your help. Can you look at something? She came over that evening. I showed her the deed and several examples of my real signature from old tax forms and medical documents. She examined them under my desk lamp, comparing the curves and pressure points. Maya, she said slowly, this signature is forged. See how the M in Maya slants differently? And the way the Thompson trails off? Someone copied your signature, but they didn't quite get it right. You could probably prove this in court. My brother had forged my signature. He'd stolen my share of Mom's house. The place where I'd grown up, where I'd taken care of Mom during her final months, where I'd kept paying taxes even when nobody else contributed. I thanked Beth and walked her to the door. When she left, I stood in my kitchen staring at those papers. This wasn't just about Christmas anymore. This was about years of being used, manipulated, and erased. Over the next week, I did something I should have done years ago. I went through everything. Every receipt, every bank transfer, every text message and email. I organized it all chronologically in a thick binder. $2,000 to Vanessa when Troy lost his job. I'd called it a gift, but she'd promised to pay me back. Never did. $1,500 for Derek's car repair. Just a loan, sis, I swear. 5 years later, still waiting. $4,000 toward Marcus's business startup. You'll be an investor, he'd said. The business failed, and I never saw a penny returned. Then there were the smaller things. Birthday presents I'd bought for their kids while they forgot mine. The time I'd used my vacation days to help Vanessa move. The months I'd driven Derek to physical therapy after his accident, because he'd lost his license. I'd been the family ATM, the free babysitter, the emergency contact, the one who showed up to every recital, graduation, and hospital visit. And they'd paid me back by removing me from Christmas. I found an old family photo in the binder, the 5 of us at Mom's birthday party 4 years ago. I picked it up to look closer and dropped it accidentally. The frame hit the floor, and glass cracked straight across Mom's smiling face. I knelt down and stared at the broken picture. The crack divided the photo perfectly, Mom and me on one side, my 3 siblings on the other. It felt like a sign. I picked up the broken frame and carefully removed the photo. The crack had split us so cleanly it almost looked intentional. I thought about Mr. Harlan's words again. People who forget you once will do it again. But they hadn't forgotten me. They'd chosen to exclude me. And there was a difference. I sat on my couch with my mother's letter in one hand and the broken photo in the other. For the first time in weeks, I didn't feel sad. I felt calm, clear, like fog lifting to reveal a path I couldn't see before. I opened my journal, the one my therapist had recommended I keep, and wrote, I can't change their hearts, but I can change my peace. That sentence felt true. I couldn't make them love me. Couldn't make them appreciate the years I'd spent holding this family together. But I could stop letting their choices steal my peace. I remembered something else Mr. Harlan had said once, months ago when I'd asked about his mail route. Sometimes, Maya, the mail delivers what words can't. A letter lands different than a conversation. It sits there. Makes people think. An idea started forming in my mind. Not revenge. I didn't want to hurt them. But truth. Sometimes truth is the only gift worth giving, even when people don't want to receive it. I looked at the broken frame, the stack of financial records, and the forged deed. Then I looked at the mail truck passing outside my window. This Christmas, I whispered to myself, they'll finally hear me. I spent the next 2 weeks gathering everything. I made copies of the forged deed and highlighted my real signature on other documents for comparison. I printed out bank statements showing every transfer I'd made to each sibling with their promises to repay. I found old text messages where they'd guilt me into helping them, always with the same phrase. Family takes care of family. I organized everything into 3 separate folders. One for Vanessa, one for Derek, and one for Marcus. Each folder told the same story from a different angle. How I'd been the one holding things together. How I'd been slowly erased. How they'd finally made it official by removing me from Christmas. But I didn't include an angry letter. I didn't write paragraphs about how they'd hurt me or demand an apology. Instead, I included one thing in each folder. A copy of Mom's final letter to me. The one where she'd warned me not to disappear. Underneath the letter, I wrote just one sentence in my own handwriting. Thank you for showing me who I am without you. I wanted them to see it all laid out. To face the pattern they'd created. To understand that I wasn't angry, I was free. I bought 3 large brown envelopes and 3 boxes to ship them in. Then I went to the craft store and bought gold wrapping paper and red velvet ribbons. The fancy kind Mom used to save for special presents. I wrapped each box carefully, like a real Christmas gift. On January 10th, I loaded the 3 boxes into my car and drove to the post office. Snow was falling softly, and Silent Night played on the radio. I felt strangely peaceful. Like I was releasing something I'd carried too long. The postal clerk was a middle-aged woman with kind eyes. She weighed each box and asked if I wanted tracking. Yes, please. I want to make sure they arrive. Sending presents to family? She asked as she printed the labels. Something like that. She smiled. They're lucky. Not many people take the time to wrap this beautifully anymore. I smiled back but didn't correct her. Let her think they were presents. In a way, they were, just not the kind anyone wants to receive. I handed her my card for payment, and watched as she stamped each box. Vanessa's went to her house in the suburbs. Derek's to his apartment downtown. Marcus's to the condo he shared with Simone. All set, the clerk said. Should arrive in 3 days. I thanked her and walked back to my car. As I drove home, I felt lighter than I had in months. Maybe years. I wasn't waiting for them to change anymore. Wasn't hoping they'd finally see me. I'd said what needed to be said, and now it was done. 3 days later, my phone buzzed with a notification. All packages delivered. I imagined them opening the boxes, expecting gifts. Seeing the gold paper and red ribbons, and thinking I'd forgiven them. Then opening the folders and realizing what they actually contained. 20 minutes after the delivery notification, my phone started ringing. Vanessa's name flashed on the screen. I let it ring until it went to voicemail. The calls kept coming. Vanessa called 4 times that afternoon. Derek called twice. Marcus sent 3 texts. We need to talk. This is insane. And call me now. I didn't answer any of them. I sat by my window with a cup of tea and watched the snow fall. Each time my phone buzzed, I felt a small surge of satisfaction. Not because I wanted them to suffer, but because they finally had to look at the truth. By evening, my voicemail was full. I listened to them on speaker while I made dinner. Vanessa's first message was defensive. Maya, I don't know what you think you're proving, but this is completely out of line. We're your family. You can't just... She stopped, and I heard her crying. How could you do this? Derek's message was angry. This is bullshit, Maya. So we had one Christmas without you and you lose your mind? Grow up. And that stuff about the house is between me and Marcus. Stay out of it. Marcus left the longest message. His voice was quiet, controlled. Maya, look, I know you're upset about Christmas. And maybe we should have handled it better. But sending this to everyone? Making us look like villains? That's not fair. We're not perfect, but neither are you. Call me back so we can talk like adults. I deleted all the messages and blocked their numbers. We'd talked enough over the years. They'd had plenty of chances to treat me like family. Now I was done talking. The next morning, I woke up to 32 texts from numbers I didn't recognize. Family friends. Mom's old church group. People who'd apparently heard rumors about what I'd done. One message stood out. It was from Aunt Phyllis, Mom's sister. Maya, sweetheart, I heard what happened. I wish I could say I'm surprised. Your mother worried about this. She told me once that you gave too much, and they took too much. I'm proud of you for standing up for yourself. You have my support always. I read that message 3 times. It helped. But then there were the others. Vanessa's mother-in-law sent a long text about family loyalty and airing dirty laundry. One of Derek's friends called me bitter and jealous. Someone I didn't even know commented on an old photo I'd posted months ago. Some people can't handle not being the center of attention. I turned off my phone and went for a walk. The cold air cleared my head. I thought about what Mr. Harlan had said. About what Mom had written. About the years I'd spent trying to earn love that should have been freely given. For a moment, just a brief moment, I felt guilty. Maybe I'd gone too far. Maybe I should have just talked to them privately. Maybe I was the problem. But then I remembered Christmas Eve. Sitting alone in my car. Seeing that photo of them laughing in Mom's house. Realizing they'd removed me from the group chat weeks earlier. Discovering the forged deed. No. I hadn't gone too far. I'd just finally gone far enough. When I got home, I lit a candle beside Mom's photo, the broken one I'd kept. I kept my promise, Mom, I whispered. I didn't let them bury your truth. Or mine. I picked up a notebook and started writing. Not about them. About me. About what I wanted my life to look like now that I wasn't carrying their weight anymore. I made a list. Not of gifts this time, but of dreams. Move to a smaller place. Somewhere bright with big windows. Start the bakery I've always talked about. Travel. Maybe visit the places Mom wanted to see. Make friends who choose me first. Each item felt both scary and exciting. For so long, my life had revolved around my family. My schedule, my money, my emotional energy, all of it spent on people who decided I was optional. Now I had the chance to build something different. Something just for me. Within 2 weeks, I found a small apartment on the east side of town. It was in an older building with hardwood floors and a kitchen that got morning sunlight. The rent was cheaper than my current place, which meant I could start saving seriously. On moving day, Mr. Harlan helped me carry boxes. This is good, Maya, he said as we loaded his truck. Sometimes you have to leave to find yourself. The first night in my new apartment, I hung Mom's wreath on the front door. I'd taken it from the garage of her house, while my siblings were out. It was mine anyway. I'd bought it, preserved it, loved it. I made tea and sat on the floor of my empty living room. No couch yet. No TV. Just me and the quiet and the knowledge that everything here was mine. I didn't feel lonely. I felt peaceful. A month into my new life, something unexpected happened. One of my coworkers, a respiratory therapist named Tracy, asked if I'd ever considered starting a side business. You're always baking for people, she said during a break. Those pies you make? People would pay good money for those. I laughed. I don't know. That's a big step. But Tracy wouldn't let it go. Over the next week, she kept bringing it up. She even researched the licensing requirements and found a commercial kitchen space we could rent by the hour. Look, she finally said. I'll go in with you. I've been wanting to do something besides hospital work. You bake, I'll handle the business side. We'll start small. What do you say? I thought about my list. About Mom's recipe that only I knew how to make right. About building something that was completely mine. Okay, I said. Let's do it. We named it Kind Crumbs. Tracy designed a simple logo, a pie with a smile. We started by making 24 pies a week and selling them at the farmer's market on Saturdays. They sold out in 2 hours. Within 3 months, we had a waiting list. A local coffee shop asked if they could sell our pies. Then a small grocery store wanted to stock them. We rented the commercial kitchen 3 days a week. Tracy quit her hospital job to run things full-time. I kept my nursing job, but spent every free moment baking. For the first time in years, I felt proud of something. Not proud of taking care of others. Proud of building something real. One Saturday in late November, a reporter from the local newspaper showed up at our farmer's market stand. She'd heard about us from someone who bought our pies every week. "I love stories about people starting over," she said. "Would you be willing to do an interview?" I hesitated. I didn't want attention. Didn't want my family to know where I was or what I was doing. But Tracy encouraged me. "You've been hiding for too long," she said. "Your story matters." So I agreed. The reporter came to my apartment, and we talked for 2 hours. I told her about losing my mom, about the years I'd spent taking care of everyone else, about the Christmas that changed everything. I didn't name my siblings, didn't drag them publicly, but I was honest about the pattern, how I'd disappeared into caregiving and lost myself, how I'd finally chosen peace over approval. The article came out 2 weeks later with the headline, "Nurse turned baker finds joy after family betrayal." It went viral locally. People shared it on community pages. The bakery got 50 new orders in one weekend. Strangers stopped me at the grocery store to say they understood, that they'd been through something similar. I also got a message from Vanessa. Just 2 words. "I saw." I didn't respond. Whatever she felt about the article wasn't my concern anymore. I told my truth. What she did with it was her choice. As December approached, I felt nervous. Last Christmas had been the worst night of my life. This year, I had no idea what to expect. Tracy suggested we host a small gathering at the bakery. Invite people who've supported you. Make new traditions. So I did. I invited Mr. Harlan, Beth, who'd helped me identify the forgery, a few regular customers who'd become friends, 3 nurses from work, Tracy and her wife. We decorated the kitchen with lights and pine branches. I baked 6 different kinds of pie. Someone brought a guitar, and we sang terrible versions of Christmas songs. It was small and imperfect and absolutely beautiful. Around 9 o'clock, Mr. Harlan raised his glass of cider. "To Maya," he said, "who taught us all that family isn't who shares your blood, it's who shares your peace." Everyone cheered. I looked around at these people, some I'd known for years, some I'd just met, and realized I wasn't alone anymore. I'd built this. A chosen family. A life I actually wanted. Later that night, after everyone had gone home, I sat in the empty bakery and pulled out my phone. I scrolled to the folder where I'd saved that Christmas photo from last year. The one that had broken my heart. I looked at it one more time. Then I deleted it. I didn't need the reminder anymore. I knew exactly who I was now, and it had nothing to do with them. On Christmas Day, I woke up early and made myself a single perfect slice of apple pie. I ate it slowly, savoring every bite. Mom's recipe made with my own hands in my own home. My phone buzzed. A text from a number I didn't recognize. "Maya, it's Marcus. I know you blocked us, but I wanted you to know something. Derek confessed about the deed. We're fixing it. The house is being put back in all our names. And we sold it. Your share is $47,000. I'll send you a check. I'm sorry. For everything. I hope you're okay." I read the message twice. Part of me felt vindicated. They'd finally admitted the truth. But mostly, I just felt tired. The money would help. The apology was something. But it didn't change what had happened or who they'd shown themselves to be. I typed a simple response. "Thank you. Please don't contact me again." Then I blocked that number too. Around noon, there was a knock on my door. It was a delivery, a huge bouquet of winter flowers with a card that read, "From all of us at Kind Crumbs. Merry Christmas to the best baker and the strongest person we know." I put the flowers in a vase on my kitchen table and stood back to admire them. They were bright and alive and meant just for me. That evening, I bundled up and walked to the park near my apartment. The snow was fresh and perfect. Families were sledding on the hill. Kids were building snowmen. I sat on a bench and watched them, and I didn't feel sad. I felt free. 2 days after Christmas, I got an email from a woman named Claire. She'd read the article about me and wanted to share her own story. She'd been excluded by her family for years and finally cut ties last spring. Your article made me feel less alone, she wrote. Thank you for being brave enough to tell the truth. I wrote back, and we started corresponding. Then another email came. And another. Women and a few men, who'd been through similar things. Who'd been used, forgotten, or deliberately excluded by the people who were supposed to love them most. Tracy had an idea. What if we hosted a support group? Just a casual thing. Coffee and conversation. A space for people to share. We started meeting once a month at the bakery on Sunday evenings. The first meeting, 6 people showed up. By March, we had 20 regulars. People told their stories, cried together, laughed about the absurdity of family dysfunction. And slowly, we all healed a little. One woman, a teacher named Brenda, said something that stuck with me. I spent 40 years trying to earn love from people who'd already decided I wasn't worth it. Coming here reminds me that I am worth it, even if they never see it. That became our unofficial motto. We were people learning to see our own worth, even when others couldn't. The group became one of my favorite parts of each month. Not because I enjoyed hearing sad stories, but because I watched people transform. Watched them go from broken to brave. From invisible to seen. By spring, I'd settled into a rhythm. Work 3 days a week at the hospital. Bake 2 days a week at Kind Crumbs. Host the support group once a month. And reserve 2 days just for me. To read, to walk, to rest. I traveled for the first time in years. Tracy and I went to Portland for a baking conference. I visited the coast by myself and stayed in a little inn that overlooked the ocean. I ate at restaurants without checking the prices first. I bought myself flowers every Friday. Small things. But they felt enormous because I'd chosen them for myself. One afternoon, I got a letter in the mail. Real paper, handwritten address. The return address was Vanessa's. I almost threw it away without opening it. But curiosity won. Inside was a single page. Maya, I don't expect you to forgive me. I don't even know if I deserve your forgiveness. But I need you to know I see it now. How we treated you. How I treated you. I was jealous of you. Of how Mom loved you best. Of how you had everything together while I was struggling. So I pushed you out instead of admiring you. I'm in therapy now. Learning about patterns and boundaries and how messed up our family really was. I'm sorry. Not because I want you back in my life. But because you deserve to hear it. I hope you're happy. Vanessa. I folded the letter and put it in a drawer. It was a good apology. A real one. But it didn't change anything for me. The door I'd closed was still closed. In June, I signed a lease on a small storefront. Kind Crumbs was moving from the commercial kitchen to an actual bakery. We'd have a counter, a seating area, and space to teach baking classes. Opening day was chaos. The line wrapped around the block. We sold out of everything by noon. Local news came to film a segment. People kept saying, "We're so proud of you." And I realized something important. I was proud of me too. That night, I sat in the empty bakery after closing. The smell of sugar and butter hung in the air. Through the window, I could see people walking by, living their lives. I thought about where I'd been a year and a half ago, crying in a hospital parking lot, feeling invisible and forgotten. Now I was here, building something real, surrounded by people who chose me every day. My phone buzzed. A message from Mr. Harlan. "Stopped by today but you were too busy. I'm proud of you, kiddo. Your mom would be too." I smiled and typed back. "Thank you for everything, Mr. Harlan. You helped save me." His response came quickly. "Nope. You saved yourself. I just reminded you that you could." That fall, I did something I'd been avoiding. I went back to Mom's grave for the first time since the funeral. I brought flowers, the pink roses she'd loved, and a slice of pie wrapped in wax paper. I sat on the grass next to her headstone and talked to her like she was still here. "I did it, Mom. I got out. I stopped disappearing. And you were right. I deserve the same care I give everyone else." The wind rustled through the trees, and I felt something shift inside me. Not closure exactly, but peace. The kind that comes when you finally stop fighting and start accepting. "I'm happy now," I told her. "Really happy. And I think you'd like the life I've built." I stayed until the sun started to set, then drove home to my bright little apartment. I made dinner, called Tracy to talk about menu changes for the holiday season, watched a movie that made me laugh. It was an ordinary evening, but ordinary felt like a gift. This year, as Christmas approached, I decided to host again, but bigger. I invited everyone from the support group, Mr. Harlan and his daughter's family, all my co-workers, regular customers, Tracy's entire extended family. We rented a community center and decorated it together. I baked 12 pies. Others brought dishes to share. There was music and laughter and that warm feeling of being exactly where you belong. Halfway through the evening, someone asked me the question I'd been waiting for. Do you miss them? Your family? I thought about it honestly. No, I said. I mailed them what they needed, the truth. And the truth set me free. I don't miss the people who made me feel invisible. I'm grateful for the people who helped me feel seen. Someone raised a glass. To Maya. And to chosen family. Everyone cheered. I looked around the room at all these faces. People who'd shown up for me, who celebrated my wins, who saw my worth. This was my family now. The one I'd built from scratch. Later, a woman from the support group pulled me aside. Her name was Nicole, and she'd been coming to meetings for 6 months. I got a Christmas card from my sister today, she said. The one who excluded me from Thanksgiving last year. She wants to try again. And you know what? I don't think I want to. That's okay, I told her. You don't owe anyone access to your peace. Not even family. She hugged me tight. Thank you for showing us that it's okay to choose ourselves. As the party wound down and people started leaving, I stood by the window watching snow begin to fall. Tracy came up beside me. You did good, Maya, she said. We did good, I corrected. This whole thing, the bakery, the group, this life, I couldn't have done it alone. Maybe not, she smiled. But you took the first step. That's the hardest part. I drove home that night feeling full in a way I'd never felt before. Not full of obligations or guilt or the exhausting work of making people love me. Just full. Content. Complete. It's been 2 years now since that Christmas. 2 years since I found that photo. Since I mailed those packages. Since I chose myself for the first time in my life. I still work at the hospital 3 days a week, because I love nursing. Kind Crumbs has 2 locations now, and we're training other people to run them so Tracy and I can focus on opening a baking school for people who want fresh starts. The support group is still going strong. We've helped 37 people set boundaries with toxic family members. Watched them grow from hurt to whole. I haven't heard from my siblings in 18 months. The last contact was when the check for my share of Mom's house arrived, $47,000, just like Marcus promised. I put half in savings and used the other half to fund scholarships at the baking school. Students who are rebuilding their lives get free tuition. It felt right, turning that money into something good. Sometimes people ask if I regret what I did. If I wish I'd handled it differently. My answer is always the same: no. I don't regret telling the truth. I don't regret choosing peace. I don't regret walking away from people who'd already walked away from me years earlier. What I do regret is how long it took me to see my own worth. How many years I spent making myself smaller to fit into spaces where I was never truly welcome. But I can't change the past. I can only build a better future. Last week, I got a message from my niece, Vanessa's daughter, the one who'd commented "Best Christmas ever" on that photo 2 years ago. She's 19 now, in college. Aunt Maya, she wrote. I don't know if you'll respond, but I needed to tell you something. I'm taking a psychology class, and we're learning about family systems. I finally understand what happened. What my mom did to you. What we all did. I'm so sorry I was part of it. I was young and didn't know better, but that's not an excuse. I want you to know I think you're incredibly brave. And I hope someday I have half your strength. I stared at that message for a long time. Then I wrote back. Thank you for saying that. It means more than you know. I don't hold anything against you. You were a kid caught in the middle. I hope you build the life you want, not the one people expect from you. That's the real gift you can give yourself. She responded immediately. That's what I'm trying to do. You taught me that's possible. Maybe that's the real lesson in all of this. Not that I got revenge. Not that I hurt the people who hurt me, but that I showed people, including myself, that it's possible to choose yourself, to set boundaries, to walk away with grace, to mail truth instead of silence. I'm sitting in the bakery right now as I finish writing this. It's early morning before we open. The ovens are warming up, and the smell of cinnamon fills the air. Through the window, I can see the sun rising over the buildings, painting the sky pink and gold. My phone sits next to me silent. No family group chat demanding my attention. No guilt trips disguised as requests for help. Just peace. Tracy will be here soon with coffee. We'll prep for the Saturday rush. Later, I'm meeting Mr. Harlan for lunch. Tonight, I'm hosting a dinner party at my apartment for friends who've become family. This is my life now. The one I built when I stopped trying to earn love and started giving it to myself first. If you're reading this and you recognize yourself in my story, if you're the one always giving, always sacrificing, always disappearing, I want you to know something. You deserve better. You deserve to be chosen. You deserve to take up space in your own life. And sometimes the most loving thing you can do is mail people the truth and walk away. They mailed me silence for years, through forgotten birthdays, ignored contributions, and finally, a Christmas without me. I mailed them truth, proof of everything they'd taken, everything I'd given, and everything they'd pretended not to see. That truth didn't bring them back. It didn't fix our family or heal old wounds. But it set me free. And freedom, I've learned, is the greatest gift you can give yourself. So this Christmas and every Christmas after, I'll celebrate with people who choose me first. I'll bake pies in my own kitchen. I'll hang Mom's wreath on my door. I'll give gifts to people who see my worth. And I'll remember that sometimes love means knowing when to stop mailing forgiveness to people who never asked for it. Sometimes love means mailing the truth instead, and letting it speak for itself.